welcome to Gold's Garage. So, as you can see, we are back at Daryl Waters Dyno Service in Springfield, Ontario. By popular demand, this MOPAR engine was just one of the features of our most recent video just a couple days ago. And lots of comments from MOPAR guys and others. I'd like to see this thing on the dyno. So, by popular request, that's what we're going to do today. Actually, I feel like a tourist today because I got no pressure at all. Bill's got all the pressure here. So there's the master. He's even got his uniform on today. I thank you very much for doing that, Bill. And I'll get you to introduce your customer. I want your customer to tell us about where this is going and how he's going to use it. And you can talk about the engine. So take it away,
sounds
please.
good. Hi guys, this is my friend, customer, Dave Cooper. This is his engine. This is a 500-inch MOPAR, 4.150 stroke, 4.375 bore. It's got X Engine Masters cylinder heads on it that won the Engine Masters back in 2014 or 2015, I believe, right?
You're right.
Jesse Robinson did the heads on it. Very, very fine job. I bet you to do those heads today, you'd have to have $15,000 in these cylinder heads to do it. So anyway, we just warmed the engine up, and right off the bat, I have a rear main seal leak. So a lot of times with aftermarket MOPAR cranks, you will have this problem. So once we're done dynoing today, the engine's going to stay here. I'll bring my engine stand out and I'll fix it for Dave, okay? Plus we had some interference on one push rod on the cylinder head. I will fix that. Also, I'm going to have to put smaller push rods in it. So anyway, we're excited. I got the timing set at 31 degrees right now. I think that's conservative. We're running race fuel. It's 12.1 compression ratio, and we'll see how it works. I think it's a 950 carburetor on this.
Yes.
Is it? 950 Pro Systems carburetor. It's got 78 front jets, 88 rear jets, power valve in the front. We've set the float levels. They're a little bit high right now, so I'm going to lower them down. We had a water pump leak, and that was my fault on a MOPAR. These water pump bolts go right into the housing, and I did not put any sealer on that. So pay attention. When you putting water pumps on, put a little bit of silicone sealer or thread sealer on those water pump bolts. So we fixed that also. And I think besides that, I think we're ready to rock and roll in a few minutes.
Introduce your customer.
Hi guys, this is Dave Cooper. So this is his engine, and it's going in what vehicle, Dave?
1968 Dodge A100.
Wow, that's going to be cool, eh?
Yes, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
It's like the little red wagon.
Oh, it's going to
Yes.
be faster than that, I
Yes.
think.
Better have big tires in the back.
Big tires, sticky tires too, I think. So these MOPAR guys, you know, they like doing strange things. So here we go.
Yes, we do.
There should be
Love that.
medication for guys like you.
There is. I think it's called beer.
Yeah. Yeah, usually the more beer, the crazier you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what it's going to do.
All right. Should be a couple degrees. It should be about 33, 34.
What do you got, Bill? How much you got?
I had 31 the first pull, just to be on the safe side. Sure. I gave it 2 more degrees here, so that'll be about 33. Okay. It might end up, 35,
Sure.
maybe 36 degrees.
Sneak up on it, right?
Maybe more. Yeah, I just don't want to.
Yeah, I get it. Don't worry. That's
a
what I
little bit
do.
at a time. So
That's how I do it too.
anyway, we'll make another pull and we'll see what she does.
Okay. couple of polls, and Daryl and Bill are having a discussion here right now about the tune. So let me turn it over to Daryl first to tell you what we got so far and what the discussion is about how to get a little bit more out of it, which is always
that's our
the
goal.
job on it. That's why we go to the dyno,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So-
our goal. So after the second poll here, we were 595 before, and Bill put some more timing in it because the engine's got lots of fuel. It's quite rich, so it's safe to throw timing to it. And we're up to 602 for horsepower and 677 foot-pounds of torque. But
Right off the get-go, right at 4,000, eh?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like to go in and look at the air-fuel comparison, and rig-specific air consumption is important too, because once it gets up into the 7s up here, that means the engine's over scavenging, and that fuel charge is going out the pipes and not staying in the engine to make the horsepower.
So we added timing, and the air curve was better.
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, my thought was it's because you're firing the fuel late, it's burning in the pipe, and it's like header wrap. When you wrap a header with header wrap, it increases the efficiency of the exhaust of the header because it's got more heat in there, causes more draw. So if you're firing the fuel late, it's going to be burning more in the pipe, which would increase temperature, which would cause over scavenging. And then Bill had a comment with the overlap as well.
Yeah, so the earlier you light the mixture, that's going to affect what happens during overlap. That's what I think anyway. It changes the scavenging. I found this before, by adding timing, it actually helps the scavenging. And you know, we're thinking half a cycle or a cycle before it even happens, but I'm pretty sure that timing will affect the scavenging. So we'll maybe give it a little bit more, and we'll make another poll just to see if it helps it, but it does need, it's way too fat, too fat.
So would it be the point, you just keep going until you start over scavenging? Is that a point you're going to get to eventually, and then you back up?
Timing should help the over scavenging.
Yeah, it'll actually decrease the scavenging.
You will,
Put
okay.
timing in.
Okay.
But the
So
thing-
we're trying to keep the air in the engine. So the engine was 120% volumetric efficiency.
Wow. Okay, that's
Now sometimes those numbers aren't accurate, but if you're on the same dyno and you see different engines, it gives you a good idea of what the engine's doing. But if the air's not staying in the cylinder, you're losing horsepower, and that is the key, is to keep as much air in that cylinder as you can, air and fuel. Okay, and that's hard to do. Headers are a big thing about that. I don't think people spend enough time on exhaust systems to make their engines work optimum.
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway,
because you over scavenge, right?
because the pipes are maybe too small and the velocity in the header is so high that you're putting a big pull on the intake mixture, and the exhaust valve isn't closing early enough, and out it goes, out the exhaust. You know, a lot of times the exhaust valve's still open at 40 degrees after top dead center.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And you have air already coming into the engine.
Yeah. And it's being pushed out besides, right?
Yeah,
it goes
exactly.
in and right back out.
You know, and it can do two things. It can, you know, having a late exhaust can either over scavenge it, or you can pull the exhaust back in, because the piston's already started to pull down hard on the mixture at 40 degrees or
You can have
45
an
degrees.
EGR effect.
EGR effect, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Cool.
so
So what are we doing different this time compared?
we're
to
going to
others?
give it a couple degrees more
We've
time.
still got lots of fuel going
Yep.
into it, so it's
And then-
safe to put timing in it, so we're going
and-
to see how it likes it.
Yeah, we'll put some more timing in it, and then we'll do some fuel.
Yeah, we'll put timing
Okay.
in it until it starts losing power, and then we know it's starting to detonate, and then we'll back the timing back off, and then we'll go after fuel.
If we start losing torque, that's usually too much timing.
Yeah.
So when the torque is starts
By the way, you got
to drop.
By the way, you have what, 650 pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM?
677.
677 foot-pounds of
That'll
torque at
spin your
4,000.
tires for you.
It will.
Yeah. 602 horsepower at 5,400.
Now these heads wear on 436 cubic inch or 440 cubic inch, I believe. The 500 is going to change the fuel curve and everything, because
Right,
it's a
right.
bigger engine.
Right.
So you know, it's not not spec'd necessarily for the 500 cubic inch motor.
Got it, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
They did do what you said too, because it's 50 cubic inch. I think it was a 452 B stroker,
Yeah.
and 50 more cubic inch dropped the RPM peak down 500 RPM.
Yeah, I figured these heads were probably revved to 6,500 in the engine masters, and I figured the big engine will drop it at least 500 RPM in the horsepower peak.
That's perfect.
Because you got a lot longer stroke too,
A lot
right?
longer stroke.
Right?
It's a
Smaller
bigger
bore, it's
engine.
an under square engine, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's another factor
Yeah.
for where the RPM's going to be, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly, Alan. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what happens on the next pull.
Torque went down, so we probably got too much time to get it down.
And I had clearance issues also, so I lowered each head down. I slotted the hole to lower it down, and
Oh, you lowered the head down in the block
lowered
that
the
way.
head,
You
head
did,
down
eh?
a
Wow,
a
is that-
16th of an inch.
Oh,
I
okay.
slotted the dowel holes because
Really?
the head bolt holes are already elongated.
Oh,
So
okay.
they
Oh.
were playing with that stuff.
Otherwise you'd be doing a lot of
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
elongating.
they're elongated a lot, so that
Okay.
allowed me to do it, but it also caused some interference on one of the push rods, so I'm gonna have to fix that as well
Yeah,
as the
bringing
oil
that-
leak.
Bringing the head down would change
Make
the
it-
angle of the push rod. and make
Yeah.
it push. Oh, yeah.
One thing leads to another.
Yeah, there's not a ton of room anyway.
No, there's no room at all, and I mean, everything's so tight on that engine, everything piston to valve, like everything's,
You have to show.
Max
That's
right
why we
out.
call it MOPAR misery, right?
yes.
You have to show the picture or video of the rocker setup on that, how tight it
That
is to
would
the
be
cylinder
good.
head. It's,
Yeah.
I looked at it and I'm like, man, that's way worse
It
than
is
my.
really hard to put the rocker, it's a T&D rocker shaft setup, and to get the push rods all in the cup, it's like a hour-and-a-half job.
Is that right?
Yeah, because you gotta, it's a shaft, right?
Yep.
One shaft.
You can't move that,
You
right?
can't move it, so you gotta
Yeah.
tighten it down, make sure all the push rods are in the cup, and then tighten it down some more, and turn the engine over, and
sure you're doing it.
it's a job.
He was telling me that, and I'm like, well, my big black's got adjustable rockers on it too, and I'm like, that's pretty easy to put on there. And then I seen him with the valve cover up. I'm like, oh, that's
You can't even see the
friggin-
push rods,
that's
can
way
you?
worse. No, you can't even see the push rods.
No.
You'll see on the video. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight in there.
Well, I'm going to pull the cover off of this, make sure that
Okay.
number one's good. What do you think, Daryl?
Well, we're getting better. The over scavenge is moving up in the RPM range, so that's good. I'm starting to get rid of that.
Seems to like 33 degrees there. That's where we're gonna leave it.
Yeah.
The fuel front to back. I think it's gonna want to be a little bit rich. I don't think it's gonna. We're gonna get that down into the fours on this thing.
Well, the fuel's 157 pounds in the front and 159 pounds in the rear, so we've got that balance pretty good.
That's really close there.
Yeah. Bricks set the mixture properly
Well,
without
it's
actually reading it.
kind of hard when you got a push rod that doesn't want to stay in its cup either.
Right.
So what timing do you have now?
33 degrees. When
Your front to back is balanced now, you think?
almost
Yeah, it's
exact.
Yeah, they were within like 2 pounds an hour of each other.
Okay,
So.
good.
You hardly ever see that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No,
Volumetrics the same, 120 or something?
121 actually.
Yeah, there's a 122 in there, but
122.
That's a nice number, eh? Like,
yeah, you get a lot of people commenting saying there's no way you can fill an engine more than 100%.
yeah,
but,
I'm happy to get over 100 then,
yeah,
usually.
but you can through RAM tuning and everything.
Yeah.
So to make everything fit here, I had to use thick head gaskets. 120 thou head
So you lost
gaskets.
your quench then?
I have no quench.
Yeah, is that right?
None.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure if I could have done it with some tight quench, you'd see probably another 20 foot-pounds of torque or more.
Yeah.
She'd be almost 700 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, you hate to give up the quench, eh? But
Yeah,
what are you
but-
gonna do, right? That happens, right?
Everything's a compromise sometimes when you're building an engine, and you know, you can't have valve sitting pistons.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You know, that's not gonna last very long, so.
Yeah, usually
As
turns
an
out
engine
poorly.
builder, it gets tough sometimes because.
You add lift and then you gouge out the piston reliefs and you take compression back out of it.
I
No.
just-
Where are we at now? I can't.
Yeah,
see.
give us a summary, Bill.
Okay, so at 4,000, we're 674 foot-pounds of torque. At 5,400, we're 627 horsepower. It's gonna make a nice street motor.
Yeah.
Dave can probably run a 3,000 converter in this thing or less, you know?
Street motor running on the race gas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we
Yeah.
made a huge improvement. We went from 605 average foot-pounds of torque to 621,
Wow, that's nice.
and
That's a
from
nice change.
570 average horsepower to 586.
Well, tell us about the average being more important.
Oh
Earl.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tell everybody that the peak horsepower is just for bragging rights. Average horsepower and average torque is what you're actually going to feel in the car. So we don't normally go. We don't really care so much about the peak horsepower. If we make a change and the average goes up, we're happier with that than actually peak numbers. But that's what everybody should be looking at when they do in a
When
dyno
you
run.
step on the gas and go through the RPM range, right?
Yeah.
You want to get the most of over the whole range, not
Yes,
just
you
that
do.
one,
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
one
that-
specific point,
If
right?
you tune it just to get a peak, then it's gonna drive like that too. You're gonna
Yeah.
almost like a two-stroke.
So
You'll hit
if-
that and then fall off it real quick.
If you had 2 horsepower at 2,500, and then you have 500 horsepower at 4,000, you couldn't drive it. It would be an on and off switch.
Yeah.
We don't want an on and
Yeah,
off switch.
that average would be horrible.
Exactly, it would be a terrible average.
Yeah.
It would be fun to drive,
You know,
that's for sure.
average horsepower is so important in the RPM range you're using, right?
So what's next?
You gotta pull a spark plug out.
We're
and
gonna
read it.
pull a spark plug out and have a look at the mixture,
Yeah.
see what the timing looks like. The fuel that we're using is Fuel Factory F8. That's the stuff I use in my super stock car. It's only 105 octane. I'm thinking that if we had some 110 or 112 octane, that we might be able to put some more timing in it.
Oh, yeah.
But Dave didn't bring the fuel, so
Yeah, you wanted C12 in it before. Didn't you not?
C12, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it should have in it. It's 240 pounds cranking pressure according to the intake closing. It's pretty high.
240?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you know,
about 80 over my normal,
so it's gotta have, you know, the F8.
60 anyways.
The F8 fuel's good. He could even run avgas in this. I've tested avgas up to 12.5 to 1.
I've guessed 100?
Avgas is 105 actually.
105, yeah.
We did
It's
it.
in automotive specs.
Okay.
Yeah, in aircraft specs, it's like 90 something.
Yeah,
It's not
98
even
or,
really
no,
100.
it's not,
No.
but,
I
We
used to
did
buy
it.
my fuel from the airport when I had my late model.
you
so-
still can at some places,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
We did a test last weekend on that 434 small block Chev, and we ran C12 in it, and then we ran out of that, so we switched to avgas, and it worked well with that too.
I believe that.
Yeah, it still made
Yeah.
the same power.
Yep.
Actually, I think it made a little bit more with the avgas.
Specific gravity could be a little bit different too, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, avgas usually tests out at 700,
it could have changed the mixture slightly,
a
so.
little bit.
Yeah.
All right,
So
well,
we're
let's
gonna check the plug right
check,
now.
check the spark plug and then
Yep.
see what.
Okay.
That's one nice thing with dyno headers, eh?
Oh yeah. Spark plug tool, 3/8 fuel line. Works perfect. Slide it over the spark plug. You don't have to worry about burning your fingers on the headers.
That's our tip of the day, Daryl.
Yeah.
Keep forgetting that too. It's a great idea.
The other tips, don't eat yellow snow.
Don't eat yellow snow,
Don't eat
yeah.
yellow snow, there's another tip for you.
Spark plug is hard to get out.
It is.
flashlight?
It's on the desk. I put it on the desk this time.
Looks pretty white in there, doesn't it? Actually,
It
but
does,
well,
but-
actually gray.
Is there, right down at the base there.
I don't know if you guys can see that in there or not. Right at the bottom of the porcelain where it bells out and meets the metal, that's where you read a spark plug for mixture wise. And this one is fairly light, so it does look like it's a bit lean. The dyno printouts and everything tell us that it's rich, but the spark plug is telling us a different story. That's why we read spark plugs, because then we can verify that, because with the over scavenging and everything too, it actually pulling some of that fuel out.
Okay.
And the dyno will show that it's using a lot of fuel. But when you look at the spark plug, you can tell if it's actually burning it properly. We'll check out the side electrode. You can want to see how far around the bend. Normally you want to stop right at the bend, right?
That's a pretty cold plug. That's a 3932.
Right.
Short
Timing.
tip. Short tip.
Yeah, that short tip's good. It unshrouds the spark from the spark plug. Normal ones, they go right over top, so that helps fire the fuel as well with a short tip. What do you got them gapped at? 25?
They're about 30.
30?
They're, yeah, 28 to 30 with this
Yeah.
compression. So,
Yeah, what do you think?
well, it's, I mean,
It's fairly light in there, eh?
According to the plug, it's saying.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you want to kind of like a nice cardboard color.
Yeah.
Right? It is colored down in there, but it's not as dark as I'd like to see it. But
That's funny, eh, when the dyno's saying it's using a lot of fuel,
Mhm.
it's saying, yeah.
yeah, that's why it's always good to verify with us checking the spark plug.
Well, and it's nice too, because after the thing, the phone gets shut off right away, so it's not like a dyno hits for
Right, yeah,
another
'cause you
3
can't-
minutes or something, right?
Yeah, because that'll throw off your spark plug reading right big time. Because it'll blacken the spark plug up real bad. And then if you want to read it at the drag strip, you got to shut it off at the end and coast back and have somebody tow you back so you can read it properly.
We're going to raise the float level up on the carburetor and the sight glass. It's about middle right now. I'm going to raise it up to the top. That'll richen the fuel mixture up throughout the whole RPM range. If it likes it, well then we'll have to change the jet. If it doesn't like it, that tells me that it doesn't need more jet.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I've never heard of that done before, to be honest with you.
That's an easy way of,
Yeah, no,
You know,
That's why
a
float
good-
level is important, because if you
That's a
drop it
great
down
test.
low, it'll lean it out. If you
Yeah.
raise it up, because it's
Makes complete sense. But I
it's
never
all
thought
weights
it
and
was-
pressures, right? Because it's atmospheric pressure pushing on that fuel. If it's higher up in there, then it's going to go and flow
Hydrostatic
into the
pressure.
carburetor easier.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. You want me to turn the pump on so you can check it, or?
yeah, we'll check the front here and see if it comes up to where it should be. We're good. Okay, that's good, Daryl. Gonna go one more flat. That should take it to the top. Do the same in the back. 3 flats. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Okay, turn it back on, Daryl, please.
Doing it at 623.
Same torque.
Might be a better average though. Let's see. Where were we last time? Freaking glasses on so I can see.
So since the last poll that we showed on the video, Bill and Darrell made some changes, so maybe talk about what you observed in your changes and what your expectations were and why you made them, you know, raising the float level, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead.
we checked the spark plugs, and the spark plug looks to be a little bit on the lean side. So what we did, we raised the float level up 3 flats to the top of the window to simulate being richer. And I don't know if it really made that much difference,
No,
honestly.
they didn't like it at all.
No,
We were
so-
621 foot-pounds of torque average before. Now we're 616,
Yeah.
and we were 586 average horsepower, or 581.
So
Let's capture that. That idea of raising the float level kind of simulates a bigger jet, right?
Yes, it does,
Because you
because-
got more hydrostatic pressure pushing down on the fuel.
exactly, Alan, right? Yes.
Okay, pushing more out.
It's easier for the engine to
Never thought of
pull it
doing
in.
that. So there's a trick for me. So, but you found out it didn't help though.
Nope,
No,
it didn't help.
So you don't need to change jets, right? That's your answer.
Exactly.
No.
You know,
What jets have you got, by the way?
there's 78 with a power valve in the front and 88s in the back.
Okay.
Lots of jet. You know, we could try it leaner, but we had a few. We have an oil leak here we have to fix, and a push rod issue. So it's coming off the dyno next week, and I'll come out to Darrell's and we'll fix some of the problems for the customer, and we'll put her back on the dyno next week sometime, and make sure we have no leaks and the customer's happy with it.
But maybe to capture that, for those that didn't watch the previous video in your shop a couple of days ago when this engine was still being assembled, so Mike called it MOPAR misery because
Yes.
of all the complications. They overstroked the engine and underbored it,
Yeah.
made the 500 cubic inches, a whole bunch of weather with those cylinder heads.
Compared to what the heads
So
were on.
this was not your
It's
run
not.
of the day rebuild, right?
Nope. I spent hours and hours and hours
It's
making
these
everything
kind of
fit.
things, people want to do that kind of stuff. You expect
You're gonna
you're
expect
in
problems.
for some misery, right?
A lot of money.
Yeah, there's gonna be problems and a lot
A
of
lot of money, and which is misery by itself, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Depends on whether you're paying for it or doing it. I
Yeah.
guess one or the other, right? So.
Yeah. So we'll get her fixed for the customer, make sure there's no leaks. We'll re-dyno it and make sure everything's good, and then the customer can take it home.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think we got the tune pretty close now.
I think so too. I think
Gotta lower the
So I
front
always
wheels back down.
forget to say, you know I want you to like and subscribe, right? So let me give you a stat. About 5% of the people watching this video are subscribers. Don't be that person, okay? Give me a subscription. Our last video started off not very well because the comments were so good and the shares were good. YouTube gave me a second chance and it's grown in size. All those things help. Please remember to like and support me any way you can. We're working hard. It has been fun because I'm a spectator today. All the pressure's on Bill and Darrell. I can sit back and be a critic if I want, but it's really been fun. But it's a lot of work getting all this stuff together. And when Kimball sees what we got him to edit, he's gonna. It's gonna be a big job, Mike. Sorry about that because we got a lot of stuff to put together. So thank you for watching Gold Scratch.
Thanks, guys.